Hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again to another live show here on YouTube. Good to have you here watching along. If you have any questions about anything that pops up along the way or about other non-related topics, then do be sure to add a little @ here to record on there so I can see it nice and big on my screen. It really helps to see it pop up on the iPad. I'm running the questions myself today. My wife is not here helping, so, you know, I'll be a bit slower, I think, but that's okay. So make it extra easy for me to see where you're asking questions from. The show's a little bit later today as well. That's because I'm hoping that for the next few hours I can chit chat, and then I have another show that I'm going to join in 2 hours time from now. So I don't know if I'll go that long, but we'll see. With Epiphan, they are at NAB, and I'm going to join them into their booth digitally over the internet. So that's a couple of hours time from now. I'm a little under the weather as well, so I don't know if I can talk for the next 2 hours, but we'll see. I'm already struggling, so we'll see how it goes. But nice to have you all here watching along. And I see some people who are at NAB today. Ryan coming from the NAB show floor, I guess, because Aaron here saying that the show floor is about to open, which is excellent. If I had everything set up, Aaron, I could get you to call in and be part of the show. I think I could probably manage it, but I'm not going to put that on you just in case you're wanting to get in there and do your own fun stuff. But maybe next year we can prepare for that. Aaron says, let me know what you want to learn about today and I'll go film some content there. Yeah, so I was watching, Aaron was doing some coverage yesterday, and him and Photo Joseph are on the show floor gathering as much information as they can and having some fun while they're there. So if you have any specifics for them that you want to see, they are running around with a camera set up, a pretty crazy one, shooting some 9x16 content and sending it off to the internet as fast as possible. Aaron here, I don't think my cell phone internet is enough to stream from right now. That's no problem. All good. So let's just go back. This is a very different show than usual. Usually I want my live stream to be 30 minutes. I'm getting in there, telling you about some stuff, and then, you know, going to the post show with members. But today we're going to just hang out for as long as I can keep my voice going. And for that reason, we will go back to the little map and see where people are watching from. We already had some along the way there, and apparently I've managed to delete those for now. But there's more coming in here. Hello from Poland. Nice to have you here. Venezuela as well. And Montreal, Canada. From Modetal, Germany. And Randy, always good to have you here from Dripping Springs, Texas. Member of the channel there too. Here's Nicholas coming in from Helsingborg. I think that worked there. It did. Nice. Greetings from India as well. Very generic location dot there in India. Good to have you here, Go Web Technologies. And as well, Freedom Media WA from Western Australia, which is popped up there. And finally here, hello from Monterey. Did that work? I think so. I've got too many places to look here. So that is a look at where you're all watching from so far today. If more come in, I'll queue them up and I'll fire through them and see how it goes. All right, so NAB is happening right now. If you're not familiar at all with NAB, it is a yearly convention that happens in Vegas. I'm sure many of us know all about it, but the idea there being a perfect place for broadcast and live streaming and TV and film people to get together. Maybe not so much film, but I've seen some stuff there for that. And the idea for that is that most people have their announcements there. They bring their new products there. We saw some stuff this week from Rode, from Blackmagic, from BirdDog, from many other companies that don't come to my mind right now. Loads of stuff coming in from there. And I've assembled a few things that I'll chit-chat about today that I saw coming in from NAB. And I'll also take your questions, and maybe you have some things that you've seen. I'd be really keen to hear that. So if you do have some stuff that you have seen at NAB or coming out of NAB and want to discuss it, then now would be the time to ask those questions in the chat. Ryan here coming in with the first question of the day. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. He wants to know, what are you most excited about so far from what you have seen? So in terms of what I'm excited about so far, I suppose a lot of what I've seen is just through some of the main marketing channels, like the websites of some of these companies. So not being on the show floor means that I can't really walk around and see some interesting stuff that I'm not getting to my email in via the press releases and all that. So some of that has just been missed since this is just day 2 of NAB. I'm going to drink a lot of stuff. I'm drinking coffee right now, and maybe drink some water as well as we chit chat. But I'm super interested in the new ATEMs from Blackmagic, of course. That's a lot of what we talk about here on the channel. I have just off to the side there, I have the Television Studio HD8 that we've been looking at on the channel last week and the week before, and some videos, and I'll keep creating some videos about that. So interesting to see that they made a new 4K version of that. 4K Constellation, we'll dig into that with the ATEMs compared spreadsheet that I create and maintain. I'll be digging through that a little bit later in the show. So those are the ones that I'm super keen to hear about what Blackmagic's up to. It's one of those companies that it just fits so well, I think, in this channel and the kind of content that I want to create. So I'm always listening to what they're up to. What else have I got in the pipeline for today? And then Rode have also released a couple of interesting little products as well. So I want to dig into those. And I'll just go through all of this stuff in a minute or two. Freedom Media says, having just pulled the trigger on the new HD8 ISO, do you feel for BMD not to provide accessories they need to go with the switch? Example, cable adapters for the headphones. Good question. It is strange that they don't have a. For example, I have one here actually, on my Constellation 2ME. I've never actually got around to finishing this, but it's the 5-pin XLR to potentially to headphone adapter that I have yet to create. Let me see. Will I get this focused? Yeah, there you go. So it's this little 5-pin XLR, and then in theory you solder your own connection in on that side. I never actually got around to doing that because I actually don't need, personally, in the studio here, a headphone connection into the ATEM. It's going through so many different monitors and stuff that I don't need that. But I would love to see them sell this connector to either sort of like the jack connection, I can't remember what you call it in the rest of the world, but what I would call the standard, not the headphone, but the standard jack connector, 6.3, 6.5, I can't remember. That would be a perfect little cable. I've seen so many little adapters that people have kludged together to make that exact thing. So I'm surprised they don't make those sort of little accessories. But then I suppose whenever you buy the older ATEMs way back, they would include like a breakout cable with all sorts of little adapters in it, and it probably just didn't make any sense after a while to pre-make those things and send them out, nor sell them since it's such a small little item. Maybe it's something I could sell instead. I can make XLR 5 pins to 3.5 or jack connectors and make zero money as I ship them out to the world. Let's Celebrate TV here says Deity have announced their excuse me first UHF wireless dual channel UHF system called Theos. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to look into that. I'm not super into like the audio world, and most of that stuff kind of passes me by. So I don't keep a close eye on it, but if you're interested in that, and which you might be, Let's Celebrate TV, then that's good to see. Again, sorry for my voice. It's I'll do my very best. Here recording Aaron Parecki, do you think Blackmagic will release the 2ME Constellation 4K? I like that you're asking Aaron a question on the channel here. If only I had him with me. Yeah, so let's dig into the Constellation release from Blackmagic, because that would be a perfect first look at what's new from Blackmagic this time. So I have this little picture that I have prepared in advance. Isn't that beautiful? The ATEM 4ME Constellation 4K, brand new from Blackmagic Design. So the idea here is they've taken the body of a Constellation 8K and made it a 4K version. If you're familiar at all with the Constellation 8K, it was their 8K switcher. So you could pack a full 8K production if you were running that with that switcher, or you could use it in 4K mode, which sort of quartered the amount of inputs and outputs. And in fact, let me just jump to the screen here and show it to you instead. Yeah, cool. So the Constellation 8K was the housing that would let you do full 8K production, or a lot of people that I know who bought this were actually running it in 4K mode. So you get a ton of inputs, ton of outputs. A really powerful switcher for 11K, plenty of money. You're kind of paying for the 8K and not necessarily needing it. But that doesn't matter, because now they have this excuse my zooming here. They have this ATEM 4ME Constellation 4K version. So in theory, and what they said on the announcement video, is that this was sort of like the 4ME Constellation HD, and I suppose it's sort of like the Constellation 8K. In fact, I'm just grabbing my little document that I created here. There it is. So this is a little document that I'll pop a link in the chat now in a second, actually. Copy the link and send it to the chat. Where is my chat at? There it is. I call this ATEMs compared, and it's just a Google Doc with all of the current ATEM models listed. And I try to update it whenever ATEMs are updated. And so, for example, here, if I just zoom in a bit more so we can see it. In fact, let me just cut straight to that. Is it this one? Yes, good. And then nice to see a lot of anonymous people filling into the document here. Welcome. So the new Constellation 4ME 4K fits sort of right in between the Constellation 4ME HD and the Constellation 8K in 4K mode. I suspect, though, if you wanted to get a Constellation 8K, but you only were going to do 4K, then you would skip the 8K version and go for this new 4K version. And as we track across here and look at how it compares to the 8K and 4K mode, then it's sort of the same in many instances. What's interesting, and I didn't notice this today, but the Constellation 8K in 4K mode, the old model, it only went up to 2160p 5994. It never actually went to full 2160p 60. So if you needed that, then you've got it in this new 4K version. MEs are the same, inputs are the same, scalers, yes, auxes. In theory, it's the same switcher, really, isn't it? But it does have that webcam output, which is quite neat. It is a HD only webcam output, so it won't do full Ultra HD over webcam. I don't think you would really need that anyway. I'm not sure what program would support that. And then it has all the same USKs, DSKs, DVs, super sources that the other one has. And all of that for, $2,000+ less. So pretty good deal. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. And then for sale still on the Blackmagic website are these old 2ME and 4ME 4K versions. I would not recommend buying these. I should put a big sticker on here saying think twice before buying these ones. But they're still available if you want to buy them. And the question, which was a long way around, do you think Blackmagic will make a 2ME a 2ME Constellation HD? And I honestly would be very surprised. I was quite surprised to see this 4ME Constellation 4K, since it's basically the Constellation 8K in 4K mode, for cheaper. So I was already surprised to see that. So now I wouldn't be that shocked, honestly, to see a 2ME version of the switcher for 4K. There's plenty of people, whenever the HD versions of the Constellations came out last year, were crying out for the 4K versions of them. And I was watching Doug's video about it, and he was saying he wasn't surprised. He would be surprised to see a 1ME version, and I agree with that. But a 2ME would fit nicely in there. In fact, if we look back at our little chart here, we can see that we have the 4ME Constellation HD here for $3,695, and then it's quite a bump up to get all the way up to this 4ME Constellation 4K. There's plenty of numbers between those two. So something in around the I don't know, 4.5, because these two old switchers, these two old gray switchers, they're got to disappear soon, right? Now that these 4Ks have entered the market, or sorry, this 4K has entered the market. I'd be surprised to see these around for much longer. So any day now, I wouldn't be shocked anymore to see like a ATEM 2ME Constellation 4K. It's really hard to say this stuff. For in around like the 4.5 or 5, maybe a bit more than that. Maybe let's say 5.5 USD price range. The market is right there for it, I think. Not something that I would want myself. I'm more than happy with HD setup here, and the cameras that I'm using right now are the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras that don't even output 4K, so it would be not much use to me. So that's one of the new things there. Doug here saying the fact that they still list the 2ME 4K switcher is a good sign. To me, that BMD plans on replacing it with a newer model. If they didn't intend to, they'd want everyone to just get the 4ME. Yes, I think you're right about that, actually. And one of the things that was surprising to me, actually, was that the Constellation 8K, if we go back over to this little spreadsheet, we're not going to spend all day on this, I promise. Looking at the links of the Constellation 8K, you'll notice, redirecting, that they list this one next to all of these old gray production studio 4Ks and broadcast studio 4Ks. So it wouldn't surprise me terribly to see, let me just cough 1 second. Yes, hello, I'm back. It wouldn't surprise me terribly to see the Constellation 8K just sort of not disappear, but sort of be quiet for a while, since it's sort of grouped with these other ones here. And yeah, and as Doug says, I can still see them there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that that the 2ME version come out. I'm surprised to see them all on the website though still. Nicholas here, would be fun to see how other brands are responding to BMD ISO, and if it is SRT that is growing on hardware stuff at NAB. It would be. Oh, I see now, the BMHD ISO. Yeah, I don't see a ton of other brands doing things in response to Blackmagic necessarily. So you have like the Blackmagic who's at a certain level within this within their price ranges, right? You have what people, and I'm putting myself in this bracket, what I can afford for a professional switcher, or I don't think I would necessarily call a 4K production switcher a prosumer device. So it's definitely in the professional area. And then you have the huge league above it, which is already been Ultra HD for a long time, and already, you know, got all the features that we may be asking for in the Blackmagic products. So I don't know if there's many, I can't think of many other brands that are in the same line as them in terms of pricing. Maybe Roland would be one of those that are reacting to what they're doing. In fact, I didn't have this on my list for today, but now that we chat about that, I did see, I'm not going to be able to find it now, I'm sure, but Roland did release a switcher like last week, just before NAB, that has streaming built in, and I think it's one of their first that actually has streaming. Maybe they've had one or two before, but they haven't had many. What they've been calling streaming is the whole USB streaming thing, which I never liked the term USB streaming. Basically, a USB webcam connection is not a USB streaming connection. It just means that you can connect it up to your computer. So that may be one of the ways that they're sort of pushing in the direction of some of the Blackmagic stuff, but I'm not sure. Oh, George or Jorge says, super chat. Thank you so much for that. BMD cornered the market and is starting to eat into pro budgets. I don't see a competitor coming in at the price and quality. I absolutely agree, and I appreciate the support of the channel. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, I don't see anyone or many other brands that are quite doing what they're doing for the price range and for the sheer amount of products. I mean, again, okay, we're not going to look at too many more times, but I'm going back to my document here. Like, look at this range of products, even with those gray ATEMs involved there. The price difference between each one, if they keep all of this in their range, is crazy. Like the step is just they've got everything covered. Oh, I see. I have one out of order here, right? This one should be before that one. Kind of ruins the illusion a bit, but I like that they're ordered by price. They've got like every price sort of cornered here. Oh, I'm one more up. Maybe did I get that price wrong? Is it 4? Now I'm getting confused. Hold on. 3, 6. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. 2, 3, 3, 4. Perfect. But my point being that the prices are just like little steps all the way up, and you've got everything you need in terms of a price range for a switcher. IT never gets old here, saying perhaps others know better, but I bet that BMD margins are lower and more high-end vendors. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the margins are pretty low on them. I don't have that information. I have no idea, but I mean, the ATEM Mini Pro is only $295, which it has plenty of stuff packed into it. They can't be making that much money on each unit. I mean, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're covering their costs, but they're not slapping a huge tax on top of that, margin on top of that. Which brings me to the next thing I saw released at the old NAB from Blackmagic. We're not going to talk just about Blackmagic today, but let's talk about their other switcher here. Oh, whoops, wrong one. There we go. No, I'll get there eventually. Okay, cool. The ATEM Television Studio 4K8. That is a brand new product from Blackmagic, a brand new ATEM. And it is sort of a step up, you might say, or up towards 4K anyway, over the Television Studio HD8 that was just released recently by the very company. So here, in fact, let me just bring up the website instead of talking about it. Oh, you know what? I can bring up my little spreadsheet again because it's a part of that. No, we'll go to the website though. So it sits right above the Television Studio HD8 ISO that we talked about on the channel here, like that I have on the desk. But it's effectively a copy of the non-ISO model, aside from a few things. So it has this joystick back again. It doesn't have that on the HD8. They opted not to put that in there, and I was quite happy with that. Often whenever I'm using the advanced panels on jobs, you accidentally bump that little joystick, which is annoying. And using the joystick to actually position a super source is not nice for anything but broad strokes. Like, this box needs to be over there. I can do it fast. But dialing in the details, I don't like that. So more often than not, we ended up just bumping them, and it got annoying. So the joystick's back, which is lovely. And what else is new? So it has the same 8 inputs, SDI inputs, but now they're 12G SDI. So you can do up to 2160p 60 if that's what you want to do. And what's a little bit different, which is I really like, and it's something I really wanted to see on the HD version, is that all of these outputs, so your inputs are on the bottom here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then all of these outputs up here, plus 2 more SDIs, are 10 auxiliary outputs. So you can route 10 signals out of this, and you can send anything you want out of them, and even better, you can send whatever audio you want out of these, which is a step better than what's in the HD8 version. You can do some audio routing in those, but not whatever you want. So that's nice. What was my point? Yes. So the the reason they give for these being all auxiliaries is that there's not going to be an ISO model of this switcher. Now, we can never say never, but for the foreseeable future, this is only a program and streaming recorder, but not an ISO recorder as well. What they're saying is that this switcher in an ISO model would be too warm and would be too expensive. I think that was the two reasons that they gave during their release video. In order to pack all of those encoders in there, it just wasn't feasible in the current R&D cycle anyway. Who knows? Maybe they'll figure out a neat little trick to get it working, but they wanted to add 10 auxiliaries so that you could loop out all of your inputs if you wanted to and send them off to recorders, HyperDecks or whatever recorders you choose to buy. So that's a nice little fix, and for me that works perfectly. I would be happy if they did that on the other switchers too, so we can choose if we want to aux out to other devices as well. The option is preferred in my eyes over what they've done right now. And yes, Ryan is the one that confirmed this for me, that it's better than the current Constellation or HD8 routing options. I watched Ryan's little video from the show floor where he was clicking around on the menus, and you could see that you can send MADI audio out or SDI audio out, which is really nice. Take a look at it, Doug. It's nice to have people that are on the show floor that can go double check anything that I say, whether it's right or wrong. Mark here, 100% agree. I just purchased the HD8 ISO with 10 program outputs. Not really that useful to me, but having 10 aux outputs opens up many more possibilities. I agree, and you know why they're not, I don't know this, okay, but you know why they're not going to do that? What I would like them to do, which is just change it in the firm or in the software. They could just change this to be 8 aux or 10 aux outs. But I don't think they're going to do that because it says aux1, aux2, and program out. They'll have to rename all that, and I think it gets messy in terms of UI, so I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. I would love if they just auxed all of these, but it's not going to happen. So if you want 10 auxes, then the Television Studio 4K 8 is the way to go. Again, though, they're sticking with this naming convention with the number 8 in there, so I'll be interested to see if that becomes a 16 at some point. HD 16, 4K 16 makes sense to me. Maybe just they added the number on there just in case, but I like the idea. We never know. Let's see. IT never gets old here. I suspect R&D costs are very high in the industry, particularly all of the software integrations and custom OS stuff, and the hardware integrations, scalers, coders, ISO recording. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, there's probably one reason why NDI is not part of the Blackmagic ecosystem. There's another thing they would pay for. Doug here, it's sad that we have to choose between ISO or recorders or route locks outputs. That you can't have both. Yes, sorry, Doug, you cannot have both. Yeah, it is a shame. If they could pack in all those ISO recorders or whatever, I would be all for that. The Ryan here wants a 4K 16 with the 2 MEs. Will be great. Yeah, the ATEM. Let me get this. The ATEM Television Studio. No, wait. The ATEM 2ME Television Studio 4K 16. I can just see that being an option someday. Great. Do we have any more on that? We can go to other announcements from the NAB 2023 show floor. I'll take this question here. Freedom Media, WA. With you exploring the HD8, have you had a chance to test all the audio outputs from a mixer? In particular, the RCA. Seems for best audio, you need the new microphone converter. I have not actually tested the RCA. I don't think I have any RCA options here in my studio. I can't think of any RCA devices that I have. Although it's not RCA out, it's RCA in. for playing back like a, I don't know, taking a feed out of a desk and into the switcher. I'm not sure. I don't think you said that, but maybe that's what you meant. But I will say, if you want to get XLR into the switcher and you don't have the cameras to do it, then the microphone converter seems to be the way to do that. Strange product, definitely. And we can see it in the wild now, and it's a huge product. It's hilariously huge. It makes sense. It needs to house 4 XLR or combi, I think, the connectors. But it seems like a really strange, huge choice. I don't know exactly why it's not like a little rack-mounted breakout box or something. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying it out to see how it gets there. Like if people use it, if people want it. If people want like an 8 version. I know you can daisy chain, but I don't know. Do you really want to be messing around with all these boxes? I was watching David Joshua Ford stream last week. He needs to level up his hydration whilst live streaming. Back in video, some H2R water bottle. I should do that, which makes me think I should have some water too. Brought to you by H2R water bottles. No, I don't have those. Yeah, that's my main concern about this live stream, is that I might run out of water. Maybe I need to make myself like a little BRB. If I'm still talking in like in an hour's time and I don't have any water left, I will have to play some music for 60 seconds while I fill up my water bottle. We'll see how I get on. Cool. So more new news from the old NAB show floor. What do we got here? Back to my other camera. What have I showed? Okay, here's a fun one. I don't have much to show on this other than to say that Central Control is now supporting H2R Graphics. So I have been working a little bit with Joe over at Central Control, which is a wonderful control app for Windows. It's made for. Let me just bring it up on my computer here so we can chat about it in particular. And I know a lot of people have loved it over the years. It's a very extremely robust way to be controlling your whole show from your computer. I like this picture of Joe here. And the idea is that you can use lots of different controllers. Let me see if I have featured supported devices. That's where the best place to go to is. So it supports lots of mixers like the ATEMs, the vMixes of the world, the OBSs, and then lots of NDI stuff. And it also supports all these really random show surfaces, from all different companies, and X keys being one of them, which is something that I use and have here in the studio. And of course Stream Deck and the pedal, and you can use it to control, and MIDI too. It has a lot of those built in as well, and you can use it to control AV equipment just like you would with Companion. But in this case, I think that the range of control surfaces is a really big selling point here. That's okay, Stefan. You missed the start. No problem. Good to have you here either way. And now it supports H2R Graphics. Now I haven't actually played with this just yet, but I was back and forth with Joe a little bit because he wanted to use H2R Graphics a little bit at NAB, which is cool. So we were just making sure it all worked the way it should. And if you're a user of Central Control and have the new update, I don't know if it's available just yet on the website. And let me know if you've tested it out. And if not, then something I can check in on in a week or two. I just thought I would throw that in there and thank Joe for getting that as part of the Central Control. Good for you. Thank you. Alrighty. Back to the old Blackmagic. Let's see what they have added. Just briefly on this, a couple of new video hubs from Blackmagic announced and released before the NAB show. You have the 10x10, the 20x20, the 40x40. Really love video hubs. Not something that I use here in the studio because I kind of use my Constellation as a video hub now, but it's the perfect way of bringing in video feeds and then sending those video feeds to other destinations. You don't have to mess around with patching cables in theory. And now they have 12G versions, which is something that's been sort of sitting undone for a long time. But they've brought out these new models. Sort of interesting in some ways, but really nice ones. Let me see. Routing, there it is. Let me jump into my computer and I'll have some water in the background while I show off these lovely pictures here. So like I said, you have the 10x10, the 20x20, and the 40x40. And on the front, things are a little bit different than they were before. You now have, instead of the sort of decided for you buttons, which was a list of 1 to 10 or 20 to 20 based on what model you got, you actually have selectable buttons, or sorry, configurable buttons at the top here, and then a number row at the bottom. So you could, in theory, set up these buttons yourself and print out your own little labels and do things that way, and then use the number row at the bottom for the configuration. Also, strangely, there's not 40 buttons on the 40 version, and there's not 20 buttons on the 20 version. Well, there is, but not configurable. But the 10 by 10 makes sense, how many buttons there are. Doug did a really good video about this on his channel, so I would definitely recommend heading over to the old DJP video channel to check that out. I think he did a real good summation of how it works in theory. I don't know if he's actually gotten one just yet, but I'm sure he'll do a deeper dive if and when he gets one of these in his studio. But like I said, this was announced just before NAB, so I wouldn't say it's strictly NAB coverage, but it's new. And if you're in the market for video hubs, then and you just bought one recently, then you'll be sad to see that a new one has just been released, or maybe happy to see that. You can always exchange it. Lindhager says, saw a new mixer from Yamaha that seems interesting. Yamaha DM3 with Dante. Hope anyone do a visit at the time. If you're still watching Aaron, then Yamaha would be someone to go check out the DM3 mixer. I would love to see that. I'm not a huge Dante user here in my space because I don't really need it, but so it's not something I'm on the hunt for. Doug here, I do not have one yet. Interestingly, the number of buttons can't be used to go directly to an input by number. Yeah, it's a strange. They've set it up quite a strange way, in that you have like this number row to do number stuff, but not send to number 1. Again, Doug did a really good explanation of it, and now I'm sort of forgetting how it worked. But what they do have built in now is the ability to set up what I guess they would call macros, where you could set up, you can eat into some of your buttons and set macros in there. So maybe if I'm running a live show, I could press macro 1 and it would change all my ins and my outputs based on how I set them up in advance. So I want to send this to that monitor, this to that, and this to that. I could press that macro button to run all those. Or maybe I could press macro number 2 and that would set me up for recording a video instead of the live stream, and it sends my output whatever to there, and this to there, and this to there. So you can have your show pre-configured a little bit better than you could before. In fact, maybe you'd have to buy an external control surface for the VideoHub to do that. So now it's sort of included as part of the VideoHub box itself, if I understand the manual correctly. Oh, Yamaha isn't at NAB. They went to NAB, but they aren't at NAB. Oh well, looks like Aaron or Doug, you're not going to be able to get us the answers on that one. All right, we're going to keep on cracking through what's new from Blackmagic, because we have just a couple more things for them, and then we can talk about other companies as well. Let's dig into these new DeckLink products, DeckLink IP. And then I think I'll just show you the other one at the same time here, which is the Blackmagic 2010 IP converter, the 3x3G3 something. But we'll dig into those specifically here whenever I find them on the website. So 2110 is a way of sending your video feeds over a network. So I guess you could kind of think of it as a NDI-ish. I'm sure somebody's angry at me for comparing it directly to NDI. But in theory, what you want to do is take your video signal, maybe on SDI, and send it into your network and use it within your network. So it's a protocol for that. Or is protocol the right word? I'm not terribly familiar with the exact details on 2110, and in fact, I've never played with any of the devices. So maybe this is something I would get and play with and have a more rounded opinion and answer on it whenever the time comes. But what we can do is look at the products specifically here, and feel free to chime in if you know this stuff better than me, and I'm doing my best here. So the DeckLink IP. So there are a few different models. In fact, why don't I just go straight to the models here? Yeah, there we go. So we have the DeckLink IP HD, the DeckLink IP HD Optical, and the DeckLink IP SDI HD. Some more coffee. Cold coffee, my favorite. So the idea here is that you would use these products in your workflow to move things into the IP world. So the IP HD is got a RJ45 Ethernet connection on it. The HD optical version is basically the same thing, but with a fiber connection, optical connection on it. And then the IP SDI has sort of got, let's say, best of both worlds here. Two SDI channels and the Ethernet connection for network, and then it has a reference as well. The idea being that you can capture and play back 2110 IP, and it acts like a DeckLink, just like any other DeckLink if you've purchased those before. So what I will do is just pop back to the main page here, because I want to see the converter specifically right now, this one. So if you've already got all 3G in your environment, this would be a perfect place to start to get yourself into this IP-based world, right? Let's see if I can go down and see the product itself. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So this little doodad connects to your network via this 10G Ethernet port, and it lets you have 3 channels of SDI going in or 3 channels out. So it is a 3-channel box, 3 by 3G, and it will have those 3 inputs or 3 outputs. So you could connect up 3 cameras, let's say, or you could connect up 3 monitors. And then with the screen and buttons on the front, you can choose if channel 1 is an input or an output. So you could send in 3 cameras, you could take out 3 signals, or you could do 1 of one and 2 of the other. The point being, it's 3 channels. But you can have all the connections set up in advance. You can also loop out the SDI input. So let's say you have 3 cameras going in, and you just want to get them into the digital world, but you also want to pass them back out into like your Constellation switcher as well. Then this would be the way to do that. Or alternatively, if you want to use it as an output device, then you could send 3 video signals over your network to it, and then connect those 3 outputs and bring those into your ATEM, and now you have 3 video signals. From there, I don't know really yet why I would get this, because my software or my setup doesn't need to be IP based just yet. I'm happy with all my 3G cables running around the room. So some of it is just me waiting to test this stuff out. Alex here saying I thought it was 3 SDI in and 3 SDI out at the same time. I could be totally wrong about this, but in the video that they made about it, Grant did say specifically it was 3 channels at a time. But I'm happy to be wrong about that, because maybe I'm totally wrong about that. I think maybe I misunderstood the way he worded it, where you would change the channels as inputs or outputs. Because it does say on the device here that 3 separate video channels at the same time, plus each channel has an independent SDI inputs and outputs, so you can connect up to 6 completely different SDI devices. Yeah, I think it is 3 channels. So the connection can handle 3 separate video channels at the same time, but you can connect up to 6 devices and have them connected and ready to go, but it will only do 3 things at the same time because of the data flow limits over that 110G connection, right? And as they said in the video, you would use the front panel. I'm sure there's a little picture of the front panel here. Yeah, so you have these 1, 2, 3 buttons here. You would use those to decide if it's input or output on each channel. So in theory, you'd have it all connected up, but then you choose which of those. But it says also supports 3 input and 3 output channels at the same time. Yeah. Oh, so am I reading this wrong? It can handle 3 separate video channels at the same time? Or is a video channel both an input and an output? Because that doesn't make any sense to me. Again, I'm happy to be wrong about this because, like I said, I'm not at the show floor, and the information that I can get is based on the marketing pages. So that would be a question for you, Doug. Go find them and see what they say. You said on the main channel here, it says supports 3 input and 3 output channels all at the same time. Okay. I don't know then. Independent, so that they can be completely different video standards. Each 3G input features resync. Okay. That's different than what it says over on the tech specs, right? So Doug will ask. That's great. Doug, if you can get the answer before the next... No, I'm just kidding. Let us know. My suspicion, though, is that since Grant said in the video that it was 3 channels at a time, and since it says in the tech specs that it's 3 channels at a time, then I'm thinking it's 3. But I have no idea. It'd be impressive if you could do 6 channels at the same time. That would be really cool. So that's a look at the 2110 stuff. Again, we're for me in the channel here, we're early days on 2110. I'm not going to make videos about it anytime soon without getting some of these products in my hand and testing them out. It's one of those things like the Ultra Studios. I always find them to be like, well, why? What's going on here? Why do you need these? And then you get one, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. I want to take something in or out of the computer. I get the product. And while I get how these things work individually, I'm not sure how they work as part of the ecosystem yet because there's not that much stuff. 10G Ethernet is usually full duplex, so in theory you could do 3 in and 3 out simultaneously. Interesting. I am interested to hear if that works, and they need to update their marketing pages based on the correct answer there. 3 channels. Oh, it doesn't matter. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out the answer to that, and we'll update you. Maybe if I play around with them. Though, this is the next problem. I don't have any 10G Ethernet or networking stuff in my space here, so it's not really something I'm going to be playing with anytime soon without upgrading a lot of other stuff, I think. So it might not happen. If it supports 3 channels in each direction at the same time, it would basically be like a modular video hub, right? Yes, it would. In fact, they do mention it having video router capability or router capabilities built in, and you can control it via one of their smart whatever panels. So in theory, it kind of has a little bit of a routing idea built into it, and I wouldn't be surprised to see more of these kind of products coming out from Blackmagic in the future, going deeper into this 2110 ecosystem and finding that stuff into their switchers and on all the other stuff. Quite interested. All right, how are we doing for stuff? A lot of stuff on my computer here. Opened. Okay, I'm back. Any off-topic questions that I'm missing along the way? Do you need... I actually don't know much about this kind of stuff. Do you need a P2P clock and P2P aware switches for that? I am not sure. We'll have to check all that stuff as it comes out. I have no idea. Lindhaga says, can you send this to the cloud storage and record it there? I don't think there's anything specifically that they've mentioned about that in the marketing and stuff, so I don't think that they have that set up yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on it for sure. Studio Odom says, is the multi-view 4K this time for the Blackmagic Studio 4K 8? Ooh, good question. I would need to check that out. Where did I put my browser tab? Oh yeah, I went full screen. That's why I was really confused about everything moving around there a second ago. So in the new 4K 8 switcher, this one, is the multi-view in 4K. It probably says here, right? Yeah, it is in 4K. So it's got a total of one multi-view in it's a 12G SDI signal, so I'm sure that it's in 4K. It probably even says down here somewhere about it. Multi-view video standard in HD or Ultra HD. Nice. So you can get a nice, good quality multi-view out of this. And this is the first ATEM that has 4K streaming built into it, which I'm assuming it doesn't actually say on the. I know it goes up to 2160p. And it doesn't say in the streaming section what quality you can stream at, but it doesn't specifically say that it's going to downgrade that to 1080p, nor the recording. So it looks like this is the first ATEM with 4K recording and streaming built into it, which is quite cool. The only other device that they have does that is the Web Presenter 4K. Everything else that they did previously has been HD streaming and recording, right? Okay, well, not the recording. There's loads of 4K recorders. So that answers your questions, I hope. Grant wants to know, was there anything from your BMD NAB wish list that didn't materialize at the show? There wasn't really. I didn't actually make a wish list this time. Not that I ever truly make a wish list, but sometimes I'm thinking like, oh, I would really love to see X and Y. So there's nothing that is missing for me on a wish list, and there's not really any products that I'm like on the hunt for at the minute either. I feel like I'm not, to be fully honest with you, I feel like I'm not taking full advantage of the stuff that's sitting behind me. I'm not making enough videos, doing enough live streams to validate all of the money I spent last year on all this stuff. So I have yet to really realize that for myself. So I haven't been actively looking for more equipment to buy. That's why it's better for me not to think about equipment that could be available in the future. Question here from Joe. Good to have you back, Joe. I haven't seen you in a while, I think. How do you interpret it when Grant says you can route any audio out from those SDIs? I'm wondering if you can send each different mix minus audio feed for each. Yeah, kind of what I was hoping for with the HD8 switcher when he said you can route audio. That was not true. So just to duck into that for a second, let me just connect to my HD8 to see. Oh, wait. It's not connected to the network. Anyway, I'll skip that. I wasn't using it today. That's why I never connected it up. But what I will say is that the 4K 8, the ATEM Television Studio 4K 8, does have some better audio outputs. And I'm going to steal. Oh. I'll come back to the 4K streaming in a second, because it looks like maybe some people have caught some stuff that I didn't notice. Yes, I'm going to go to Ryan Summerfield's video here, since he was at the NAB show floor and clicked around on a computer and saw what the options were on the menu system, and I can't find it in the video now. If you're still watching, Ryan, remind me whereabouts in your video that was at. But what he did was he jumped into the menu system on the Constellation, no, sorry, the ATEM 4K switcher, which was sitting at the show floor, and had a look at the menu. Ah, here it is. Okay. Let's see if I can show you this. I'll go full screen, why not? So, thank you for this, Ryan, coming live from NAB show floor yesterday and talking over me. I'm filling the gap here while I go to this. Yes, so the audio settings in the Constellation, no, I keep saying Constellation, the 4K 8 switcher are as follows. So I suspect that on program 1 and 2, it's the same as what we're seeing here, but potentially not. Potentially that's stuck on program 1 and 2 audio. But what you'll notice here is that you're not setting the audio output for each individual SDI output auxiliary output. You're actually sending a specific audio input to a channel on all of the auxes, purely based on what I'm seeing in the screenshot here, and we can confirm or deny this later. But all the auxes have the same audio, 16 audio channels going out of them, and what you're deciding is what is on those 16 channels of audio. And then it's up to you in your receiving end to choose what to do with that channel. So if you've got it plugged into a standard 2-channel audio playback system, it's going to use channels 1 and 2. However, if you're plugging it into like a HyperDeck, which has the 16 channels of audio recording capabilities, then you could later choose one of these channels. So as we can see here on program audio, but channel 3 and 4, you have access to no audio, the program audio. I'm just running down the list here that I can see. Inputs, all the inputs that are coming in there, do my best to pause, XLRs, the microphone, and then up to 16 channels of MADI as well. So it's not exactly, it's definitely not that you could send whatever you wanted, or I suppose you could send mix minus if you, because it does support mix minus, that switcher. You could send back program audio and it'll do the magic for you, I believe, if you do that. And you can also patch to and from MADI to the aux channels. Yes, but it's the channels of audio, not necessarily the aux outputs. Oh, I'm not saying that you said that, but just to make it clear, you could do up to 16 channels of the audio. So you're just sending one of them, or you could send all of them, as long as you, on the receiving end of the SDI signal, know how to extract a specific channel of audio. All right. So I was talking about 4K streaming in the 4K 8 switcher, and Grant did say it paired well with the WebPresenter 4K. So was it the Television Studio 4K 8? If so, it would imply that the built-in streaming is HD, and Digital Creation here saying only HD streaming. Interesting. I don't see that anywhere on the site. Again, I was just guessing earlier. That's why I said it. But kind of a shame that it wouldn't be streaming in 4K. I think, in my mind, I would assume that you can do 4K streaming, since it doesn't say you can't specifically. So I would say that they probably should update that, or maybe it is written somewhere on the website, and I'm not seeing it here. But that's a bit of a shame, I will say. I would love to have seen it stream in 4K, since it is listed as a 4K switcher, right? But I suppose all of this is sort of new in the realm of their website, so that there may be some tweaking they need to do after the fact. Wow, it's been the longest live stream in a long time. So thank you all for being here, sticking around, and continuing to chit chat with me. I'm not going anywhere just yet. I still got some water left, so I'm gonna keep chatting. I got about a half hour before, or 40 minutes before I need to switch over to prepare myself for another live stream later today. So let's keep on chatting. I think in the meantime, though, we've covered all of the Blackmagic announcements from NAB. We covered Central Control as well. Let's switch to BirdDog now, because I did see that they came out with a few little interesting little dealios for NAB here. First up, this new BirdDog X120, and I've just taken this quote from the website here. The words first. Hey, I think I copy pasted that, so I think they need to change their website. The world's first. You know what? It's bothering me, so I'm gonna have to change it now. There we go. The world's first Wi-Fi 5 production PTZ. Let's see if I can find that on the website now and blame them for a typo. Otherwise, I was totally lying there. Okay, I feel better now. I found it on the website here. Let's hide that. too many buttons, too many buttons. Back to SuperSource here. So this is a look at their new X120, and you can see here it is the world's first Wi-Fi 5 production PTZ. It would seem that it's coming out next quarter, and it's a really low price. A lot of people have been talking about this, $995 for a PTZ camera. BirdDog cameras are, I think, right in line with many other cameras around this price range for PTZ style stuff. So, I mean, I would choose them over, or just as well as I would choose many of the other ones in this sort of price range. I feel like they're all the same trade-offs of quality versus control, etc., etc. The selling point here, I'm not entirely convinced by the fact that it's a Wi-Fi production PTZ. I feel like if you're using the Wi-Fi, you're on like your last option. You forgot your cables, or that's not working, so you're running Wi-Fi. I wouldn't trust that for a production show. But the price of the PTZ is what caught my eye, and the fact that they're just keeping everything up to date with the HX3, which has just been announced by the NDI folks. With the Wi-Fi, yeah, you can use that if you want to. And then this other thing that I was going to mention is that they have this new iOS app that they're working on for controlling their PTZs. So here in the studio, I have a BirdDog P120, and I actually use their little remote that came with it to control it. Perfect for that. It's this camera here. I leave it out of focus because I quite like that. Oh, is there a touch to focus button on this remote? There we go. But I like to leave it out of focus because I quite like this sort of look whenever I'm doing my pre-show and stuff like that. But in theory, this is my BirdDog camera, and I use the little remote here to get my shots down. If you're joining the pre-show, you'll notice that I often use this to like fix the camera and blah blah blah. But I'd be happy to use the iOS app if it's something I could grab hold of on my phone. So it's not out yet. It seems next quarter maybe that they'll release that, so you can test it out. I'm happy to use the remote if I have one camera, but if I have multiple, I wouldn't want to do that. Graham here saying, nice Wi-Fi cameras. They work fine right up until the audience arrive. Start using the network. Exactly. This is the problem with Wi-Fi. In theory, it's amazing. Well, mostly. You go the day before a production, and you're there testing everything, and you check the Wi-Fi, and you're like, oh, hold on. This might actually work. This is fine. And then the morning of it, you test again. It's like, wow, this Wi-Fi is holding up for live streaming or whatever. And then people start coming in, and it just falls apart. And if you were to run your whole camera system on that, yeah, you don't know until it's too late that it's already failed, which is always a shame. They seem to be banking on Wi-Fi as more reliable than other Wi-Fi cams, potentially. I'm not sure where that comes from, that trust of Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi almost feels like they are aiming at the church market with these. I don't see why, maybe, but I don't see why they would, a fixed location, like a church, would go down the Wi-Fi market. Like somewhere like that makes perfect sense to run a cable, especially since you can run these things from PoE and control and NDI all over one cable. I would run cables to them, so I don't see how the Wi-Fi would solve those use cases. I'm not sure why that's a big selling point. No, Wi-Fi, no. Exactly. And someone else, oh yeah, you followed up with, I don't care actually, but now I can see the amount of people on online forums which will complain about disability after the event. Yeah, I wouldn't bank on it, basically. I would say I have no other option, and now I'm going to use the Wi-Fi. It's like being on a Zoom call and you're on Wi-Fi. It hurts. It hurts. You can feel it, definitely. So that's some stuff from BirdDog. Did I have anything else on my computer here? I think I had this little picture of their the PTZ control on iOS. I didn't get a chance to play with that just yet. It'd be fun to try it out. Again, I would use this on pre-show setup. I wouldn't necessarily want to run the PTZ control during a show like this. Always better to grab a hardware controller where possible. But I'm always keen to see what people release, what they're up to, and I'm always keen to test it out before I have, my final opinion on it. Mostly I just want to chat about what I've seen come up from the show floor. And this is a nice reminder, now that we're deep into the show here. If you have been at NAB and you're learning some stuff, then let me know. Fire over a message in Discord if you have any exclusive photos, for example. I can show them on the live stream here, something that looks cool. Or if you have any questions about anything that's not NAB related, then I can take those as well. If you're just joining us now, this is a one-off late show because I'm hanging out in the office here waiting for some other another event that I'm going to join in on tonight for Epifan. They're going live from the show floor, and I just thought I would hang around in the office and chit-chat live until then. So that is what's happening. Welcome, if you're coming in late. And there's some Wi-Fi related discussion going on here in the chat, which is lovely. Right here, it's assuming you're using public Wi-Fi. If you're creating your own, it should be fine. Yeah, I would definitely not rely on the public Wi-Fi. But I just find if you're in a position where you can set up your own cabled solution, then heading down the wireless solution is never a great idea. You can buy expensive SDI wireless transmitters, but heading down that route is like, yeah, we had to go this direction for this final little piece, this one camera that needs to move and can't be connected. It makes sense for that, for wireless, but anything else, fixed camera, wired as much as possible. IT never gets old. Anyone seen anything cool from Magewell? You know, I haven't seen Magewell release anything in a while. Never mind something at NAB this year. Probably not something I can look into so much here as we chit chat. Let's see. Looks like maybe they have something new in terms of their capture devices, but not something I can see off the top of my head right now. Okay, I have a couple more things on my list here from Rode. A company that I've never actually really discussed here on the channel much at all because I've never really bought much Rode products. Not to say that they're bad, but just not something I've needed. But I did see them release this Rodecaster Duo. And if I understand it correctly, it's sort of like the little sibling to the Rodecaster Pro, where the Pro has up to 4 audio inputs, if I'm not mistaken. But the Duo here has 2. I'm just trying to see if I can find it on their website yet. If they have the Duo listed in full details, or if it's just a little teaser. Yeah, it looks like it's just a teaser. So I'll stick to the teaser page that I have, and I'll show it to you in a second. I promise you. But the Duo is made for people who maybe are just doing like a 2-person podcast and don't need all the extra bells and whistles of the 4 or the Pro version. I don't think I have a shot at the back. It was in the video, but I don't have it here. But 2 combi inputs, a couple of headphone outputs for those 2 hosts on your show or something, and then the usual, configurable buttons that you can set up sounds, and then use it on sort of just a smaller show. I guess that's the real idea here. I really like the small footprint compared to the big Pro. I think the Pro is quite big, especially if you're only doing a 2-person type show. So quite interested to see that. They have this new pod mic in USB and XLR form, which is quite neat. So you have the option depending on what you want. And then there was one other thing that I wanted to take a look at. Yeah, this is an interesting little product from them. The StreamerX, Rode X, StreamerX 4K capture device. So on the back you have a HDMI in and out, or HDMI in and pass through, and you can bring in up to 4K 30, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So a way of bringing in a microphone as well, or a headphone output. So just a little connection for your computer that you can bring in audio and video, and then set up these buttons to do certain things, mute video on and off. I suspect it would work well for something like Zoom as well, but my my thinking is they're really trying to push towards like the gaming streamer market for this kind of tool. So quite a neat little device for sure. With all of their usual stuff. Oh, look, they have the stats here. 4K 30 or 2K 60 streaming, and then 2K 120 or 4K 60 pass through. So if you plug in a 4K 60 signal, it will pass that back out again. But the streaming capabilities, which is really, I suppose, the connection to the computer, is only up to 4K 30, which is fine, I guess. Ray says here, two less pads. Agreed that really like the form factor of the Duo. Seems like a perfect size. Yeah, I haven't really used the Rodecaster Pro myself, so I wasn't entirely sure what's different. But it does look like a nice little miniaturized version of that. Oh yeah, that's right. And they added this little charging case for their or two other things that I can scroll down and show here. So the backpack, which sits a Pro or a Pro 2 or a Duo, it's sort of made specifically for that purpose, which is quite a neat idea. I assume that a lot of people had it in their backpack and it wasn't going so well. So you can fit all that and these arms all in one place. And then the wireless Go 2 charging case. So you can put the whole wireless Go kit into a charging case and charge it up. I was surprised. I haven't personally purchased the wireless Go 2 set, so I was surprised that it didn't actually have that, because a lot of those other, like Hollyland one that I've had and some other versions of that, they do already have that wireless charging set as part of it. Neil's here saying, yes, their X stuff is aimed at gamers. Yes. Interesting that some of their products use USB-C as an input for audio. Yeah, that is interesting. An input for audio over USB-C. Typically you see yeah, you don't see much USB-C to C stuff, I suppose. I'm not sure. I don't really use Rodecaster stuff, so I'm not entirely sure. But I do like the look of them. They have those sort of nice, I just want to press the buttons and mess with the faders kind of devices. Maybe the photos are doing them more justice, but I like them. Okay. Pretty Media says, having upgraded from the Rodecaster Pro OG to the Rodecaster Pro 2, with a fragile USB-C power connector, Rode Australia customer service was brilliant. They sent me a replacement and posted stuff super fast. That's great. I wonder how good their fast postage would be outside of Australia. I suppose pretty fast, but I know that they are based down there. It seems like a good company. I don't think I've heard many people say terrible things about Rode, which is great. I always like to see that. Joe here wants to know, did you see the new wireless ME? The audio clip feature seems pretty nice. One-man banding. I did see something about that. That's right. So, I'm still showing this. Good. The Rodecaster Pro 2 actually has the whole time, it's like a little secret feature, I guess, is that it accepts a wireless microphone, as in their own products, right? So you can pair the wireless microphone to the Rodecaster, which is really neat. I can see that being used nicely. If you bought all their products, then, I mean, wireless Go 2 can just be connected up. They showed it in the video. It was really quite neat. You could just bring it next to it and press the button and it was connected, and now you're using it. So I like that. Ray says, I'm curious to see if the new charging cases fit some cables. DJI gets most of my use because the USB-C and Lightning adapters are in the case. Yeah, if we look back down at the C charging case. In fact, where was it that I saw the video for their NAB announcements? I guess I just found it on YouTube earlier. So let's see if I can go in and see Rode NAB. I'm just doing it off screen here so that I can find the video, play back, find the places without having to watch ads and all that nonsense. They did talk a lot about other things, so I might never be able to find the case here. Oh yeah, so here's the case. I'll show you this now. This one. The little charging case. It does look quite snug in there for any cables, so I'm not sure there'll be much room. There's no pouch at the bottom or anything, but you might be able to wrap a cable around the device before you close it, but it would have to be quite a short cable. It doesn't look like there's much space in there at all for maybe tiny little USB cables, but not much. Certainly not like a charging brick or anything to go in here. So we'll see. I'm not so sure about that, but we'll have to get our hands on that and see. I think they're adding the wireless audio transmission function to the wireless Go 2 via firmware update as well. Cool. 3D Media WA says, I have the Rode Wireless 2 and using extensively. They work really well and have had an aftermarket charger, although the new Rode charger kit is a cool zip case. Yeah, it looks quite nice. I've heard lots of good stuff about the Wireless Go. I have like the Hollyland set and I really don't like them. So I've been kind of against buying a similar set that size. I worry that they might not sound that great, but obviously it's a completely different company. They can do a different job. I just don't like that little form factor. I don't like to clip it on and use it as like a mic as itself. And I'm not a huge fan of the fiddliness of the little boxes. But if they sound good, then that's quite nice to have on your hand whenever you're out and about. The next thing I really want to buy some audio gear for would be my own coverage of IBC, Australian, European NAB, let's say. So I went there last year and I really enjoyed it, but 3-4 days of just walking around is not a good spend of money. It's a very expensive way to go across the continent and just get my steps in. So this year I want to go there with a plan in mind of shooting some stuff. And for that, I think the only thing I'm really missing from that setup is a really solid microphone solution. So maybe I'll ask around right after NAB and see what people heard that sounded good. And maybe I'll try to replicate their audio setups if I can. That would be really nice. Cabled over Wi-Fi, says Mark. I think you're maybe way behind on the stream, or there's a blip with the stream. But I appreciate your thoughts on it. Either way. That was a good 15 minutes ago we had that chat. When you get here, you'll find out. Let me see if there's any other slightly off topic. Or, well, it's on topic, of course, but Live View have some new stuff. Not something that I've tried out myself. I'm not entirely sure, and I haven't looked into it. And yeah, Rode had so many updates. They sure did. Packed in a lot of stuff to the show for this one. I wanted to go to Aaron's channel to find something real quick, because he showed off in a little short he did with Hollyland, because he's there cranking out shorts, and he's got some more new ones maybe since I went live here. But Hollyland have released some, it's going to be difficult to show, some cameras. So here's his little stream from, not little stream, here's his short from the NAB show floor, and they have these two little Hollyland cameras, which it's just strange, a strange step for them. I don't think that they've done cameras before. I'm just trying to see if I can pull up. I don't know if they have them on the website yet, so I'm just trying to see if I can pull them up off screen here while we chit chat about them. But if I'm not mistaken, this is their first sort of adventure into small cameras. Okay, so they do have, I can show you the website here while we're chatting about it. They do have some like of these PTZ cameras. I don't know if that's something they've made themselves or just something they've rebranded for another company. And they have their audio stuff, but I don't see any of their these cameras that they were showing off at NAB. Let's see if I can get in here and find it. No, they're not really screaming about the releases just yet, unless I'm missing it somewhere along the way. So if you find a link to that, point me in the right direction, and I will go look at it. But anyway, we'll have to just look at Aaron's. Wait, where did that go? Aaron's stream here. So you can mount it vertically or horizontally, and then capture your signal. Now, what I didn't like about them was that the idea was that you could stream from the camera itself to YouTube and Facebook. I'm not entirely convinced that that's a good idea on a little fiddly touchscreen device. It does have a HDMI output, which is probably the way I would like to go. So either record internally in them and then use that footage later, or maybe, I don't know, stream from them, but I don't think that's a great idea to be streaming from the camera to YouTube. I'd much rather HDMI out of it into my own setup and then go from there. Yeah, interesting device. I don't know much about it other than that, and I'm craving more NAB content. So if you are there and you have exclusive details on some fun new stuff, then I'm all ears listening for those things. Otherwise, I think I've gotten through all of the news that I found in advance of today's NAB coverage, and I'm hoping to see some more. I'm hoping to see some more fun new things that have made it on the show floor that I haven't actually seen. I noticed there wasn't a ton of video content coming out of the show floor yesterday. There was some live streams here and there, but not a ton. And I suppose some of that is just people making it to the show floor, having some fun on the first day, chatting with people, getting to know people, and then on day 2 maybe they'll go back and shoot some interviews. So I'm keen to keep my eyes peeled on that. Otherwise, I'll just have to wait and go to the show floor myself at IBC in September and see what kind of fun stuff is there. Okay, cool. I think I've covered basically everything I wanted to chat about. My water's running low, but I've nicely passed some time before I have to go and head over to the other stream that I want to do after this. I don't know if it's actually live on YouTube yet, so I would love to point people in that direction, but what was it called again? I know it's for Epiphan on their second channel, but it's not necessarily that they went live just yet. Oh, cool. So there is a stream, a holding stream ready to go whenever the time comes. I'll drop a little link in the chat. It's not going to be right after I'm done here, because a fan live show, because I'm going to take a little break and maybe have some late dinner. I don't know if I spelled that right. That's what I was trying to see. But my idea being that I can just hang out here for the next 30-40 minutes and then do that with them. And I said I would join early as well because I want to make sure everything is in place for that stream as well. Cool. So this week ahead, I'm hoping to shoot some more videos. I'm always set up to shoot videos and then I never get around to it because I end up working on development projects instead. But I'm hoping to do some more stuff with the gear I have in the space here. Shoot that this week, and then I'm also gonna hang around for this live stream this week, and then next week's live stream we'll do like a NAB wrap up a little bit. I'll talk some more about this Epiphan stream because of some stuff that they're using during their stream. I'm not gonna jump into it now just in case the stream doesn't. We'll see how the stream goes, and then I'll dig into all those details next week, definitely. New H2R Graphics version coming pretty soon, and we can dig into that next week as well because I have lots of stuff to do. And thanks to Graham here, I have to leave the pub. I'm at work now. I've had to leave the pub and I'm at work now. Oh, that's a rough day. We'll have to go now. Enjoy your next show. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the pub. Thank you all for watching. As always, I appreciate you being here live. I hope you didn't mind me moving the time around a little bit. I felt like it was better for me, and I think better for many of you as well, because it's possibly a much better time for you. That just leaves me to find my little end the show button. Oh yeah, I do have a button for that, so thank you so much for watching. I will especially like to thank all of the supreme supporters of the channel: Jeremy, Revolutionary Lightboards, Marlon, and Cloud Bedrock as well, and all of your faces for being here and chatting and asking questions during the live show. I guess I'll catch you next week as well. Thanks a lot. Until then, bye-bye.